Hello again. So this time we're going to talk about forage, what the bees need. So we've covered the hive. So in addition to shelter, the other things the bees need are, well, 4 things that they collect from the environment. So that's pollen, pollen being the solid protein food that they use to feed larvae, and the young bees that are making royal jelly also have to eat pollen. So there's pollen, which the bees bring back on the pollen baskets on their legs. The next thing is nectar. So nectar is the high energy food that all the bees eat all through their lives, and which they convert into honey to store for winter. So nectar they carry in their crop, and we'll talk a bit later about how they convert nectar into honey. A third thing that they collect and need sometimes is water. So they use water for maintaining the temperature and humidity in the nest, and also to some extent at this time of year really for dissolving crystallized solid honey in order to consume it. And the fourth thing is propolis. So propolis is the antifungal, antibacterial substance that they collect from sticky buds on trees and plants and things, and they use this like a varnish in the hive. So where do they get those things from? Water is not generally a problem in these parts. They could find any sort of muddy puddle or just dew on leaves and things. So in locating hives we don't have to worry too much about water, but we do need to think about what other plant forage is available in terms of pollen and nectar sources for the bees. So the main plants that they prefer tend to be native plants, usually with a simple open flower structure. Honeybees have shorter tongues than bumblebees, so they're not generally competing for the same things. So the types of plants that they use around here, they get a lot from trees. There's a surprising number of flowers on trees. In a canopy, there's a lot of flowers in one place. So some of the trees they use, sycamore is really good. Chestnut, the horse chestnut, which is obvious, the great big white flowers on horse, or pink flowers on horse chestnut, but also sweet chestnut, which is not so common around here. Cherry, wild cherry is very good. Blackthorn and hawthorn. So blackthorn's a good early plant, it's like plums as well, all the natural plums. Lime trees, if those are around, they can be a fantastic source for nectar. Holly as well, crabapple, lots of fruit trees, and one that provides early pollen is hazel. So those are just some of the trees that they'll use. Other plants, all the wildflowers, so a wildflower meadow is just wonderful, but the type of sort of natural flowers that bees will use, early things are particularly valuable, so snowdrops, aconites, wood anemones, that sort of thing. Probably definitely actually, the 2 largest sources of nectar in Wales are bramble and dandelion. So it gets a bit embarrassing when people ask you what they should plant to help their bees, and the answer is things like bramble and dandelion and thistles and sycamore, but that is what the bees will be getting a lot of their resources from. Another one is gorse, which is particularly good because it's in flower for something like 10 months of the year. I think bees get both pollen and nectar from gorse. Wild garlic. A much more contentious one is Himalayan balsam, which obviously is an invasive plant that we shouldn't be encouraging and many people want to get rid of. But the bees do like it. They get a lot of pollen and nectar, I think, from balsam. Like the bramble, it has a very long flowering season, so that's why it can be useful. Later in the season, rosebay willow herb is a good one. That comes on disturbed soil. And finally, right at the end of the season, ivy. Ivy is a fantastic resource for all sorts of insects. It's very late flowering, so October time. So it's after you've taken the honey crop. The bees can if they get good weather at the right time, they can get a lot of income from ivy, and that's good winter stores for them. So those are some of the things they're looking for, and some of the things that we're looking for when we're thinking about where to site an apiary, which is what we'll cover next. Thanks.